I made it sound like I have herpes. I don't know why I did that. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Nerds You're Looking For podcast, a weekly nerd culture podcast that discusses the culture through various segments. My name, of course, is Patrick Kuhn, alongside my co-host, as always, that Tyler Hunt. How's it going, man?
It's going good, dude. You're sounding pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get over a cold. I got sick a few days ago. It's like, I don't remember the last time I got that sick. Like, I don't get sick very often. I get these little flare-ups here and there that I made it sound like I have herpes. I don't know why I did that. But, yeah, I just kind of get, like, just kind of sick every once in a while. But this is the first time in, like, a really long time. Like, I got really, really fucking sick.
Yeah, I'm glad I could come over and bathe in it. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm kind of over it. It happened, like, Tuesday night. I started getting kind of sick, and we're recording this on Saturday. So it's been a few days. I just kind of have the sore throat. I got the raspy, sexy voice going right now. I'm a little stuffed up. Trying not to depend on the cough drops too much, especially while we're recording. But you might hear me pop in a couple here and there. But I will kind of get this off my chest real quick, and then we'll kind of get on with the episode. I do kind of just want to put it out there for those that have been wondering what happened. We took a couple of weeks off. Tyler and I really kind of pride ourselves on not really skipping that much with the podcast because we appreciate you guys listening. Unfortunately, and I don't really want to get into too much details just because it's kind of personal, obviously, but a couple of weeks ago, my mom passed away. I mean, it was something that was unexpected. I mean, she had been sick, but we thought it was just like a regular cold, and it turned out to be a lot more than that. And by the time they figured that out, it was too late, unfortunately. And so it's been the toughest couple of weeks of my life. I mean, I could say that pretty easily. Like, I can't even, nothing even compares to the way I've been feeling the last couple of weeks. And it's been a weird kind of like a roller coaster of emotions because you want to be like, you want to celebrate, like you want to share stories of just how great of a person and a mother she was. But at the same time, it's just like we're all grieving. And it was a really tough couple of weeks for our family. And obviously I'm still trying to get over it. But, I don't know. I mean, she was so proud of me doing the podcast and the stand up and stuff like that. So it's like, I wanted to take a little bit of time off, but also I know she wouldn't want me to stop living my life. Like she definitely would be upset if this was something that like put the podcast on hiatus for a long period of time. So I know that she was really proud of it. We actually had a showing in Louisville for her work friends and stuff like that. And I couldn't tell you how many people came up to me and was like, oh, you're the one that does the podcast, or you're the one that does stand up. Because apparently she talked about it constantly. So she was really proud of us and me doing the podcast. And so I felt like it would be kind of a slap in the face if we took too much time off. And I honestly just kind of wanted to start getting a little bit into like a regular routine, back into my routine. So
for sure, man. Well, I think I speak for everyone when we say we're happy to have you back on the podcast. It's good to be doing it again.
For sure. So obviously we're just going to kind of move on. Like we're still going to make our silly dick jokes and stuff like that. But it'll still be in the back of my mind. But obviously I'm going to try to not talk about it too much because obviously it's a pretty big bummer. I did have something kind of changing the subject and getting onto more loosey-goosey stuff. I'm sorry that I said loosey-goosey. I did have a weird thing happen to me today. So my wife and I have been out of town for obvious reasons for the last couple of weeks. And so we're just now finally starting to get back the house in the way that it needs to be. Like, it doesn't look like people lived in there because it was so just like unorganized and shit. So I was doing a lot of housework today, and there's this song. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's Dire Straits' Money for Nothing. Have you ever heard this song before?
I don't believe so. Could you sing a little for me?
No, I'm not going to do that. Even in good health, I'm a terrible singer. Anyways, It used to be like one of my favorite songs. Like that was like my default answer when somebody asks you like, oh, what's your favorite song? I would say Dire Straits' Money for Nothing. And I was just listening to a lot of classic rock while I was cleaning up the house today. And that song came on. And I don't know if I've just never heard the like original version. Maybe I heard like a censored version or like a radio version or whatever. But he says the word faggot 3 times in that song, and it just like caught me off guard.
What the fuck?
I know, it was just, it's so weird because I was just, it came out like the 60s or 70s, like, or maybe it was even the 80s. Like it's a pretty old song, so it's not like it's a newer song or anything like that. And it was just like, I was just like cleaning, like singing along, and all of a sudden he just drops 3 faggots in like 15 seconds. I was like, what the fuck?
Was he talking like about a bundle of switches? Like,
no, he was not.
That's disappointing.
It was, and so I feel weird because for the longest time I told people that was my favorite song.
Oh shit.
And now, yeah, so, I'm definitely not proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not your favorite song anymore.
Well, I mean, it wasn't. And then I heard that version. Now it vaulted back up to the top spot. I don't know. I felt like I wanted to do that joke. If this is your first episode, this is kind of a weird episode to start with, but we always start off each episode by kind of checking in with each other. We call it what we're into. So what are you into this week?
You would think that being off for what was it, 2 or 3 weeks, that I would just have like ton of shit to talk about, like, oh, I watched this and this and did this, and I honestly,
you did nothing.
I really did nothing. Like, you know, the last week that we did there, the first week we missed was the week of Christmas, and of course that was crazy with work and that kind of stuff. And then last week was just kind of getting back to normalcy after the holidays in retail. But I haven't really been to the movie theater to see anything new. So just to be honest, what I've been doing is binging The Office.
Okay,
and this is kind of a spoiler alert for. I believe it's going to be next week's episode when we do Nerd Year resolutions. I came into this year wanting to rewatch The Office from beginning to end because I think I mentioned it before. Probably when you did your top 10 TV shows, I had only seen The Office up until I believe season 7. Whatever season Michael leaves, I never saw that season or the seasons that follow.
I think he leaves season 8.
Okay, so I didn't see the season he leaves or any of the following seasons. So I wanted to watch it from beginning to end. I've watched like 4 seasons this week. So definitely putting a lot of time into it. And I forgot how much I really liked that show, especially towards the beginning. You know, in a different world where I had watched it ahead of us doing our top 10 TV shows, which I'm going to finish up 5-1 later in the episode. It could have possibly made it because I really am enjoying this rewatch and forgetting just how funny it was and how much I love the characters and love Jim and Pam's relationship and how it takes them a couple seasons to get going and all that kind of stuff. So I am really enjoying my rewatch of The Office quite a bit. And just because that was very brief because it's a show that's been over for like 3 years now. I did play a game over Christmas.
Okay.
My buddy from Seattle comes in the week of Christmas and I don't get to see him too much because work is so crazy for me the week he's in, but we did get together a couple times. And another one of my friends, Mike, is really into board games and he brought a game called Codenames over.
Okay.
Which isn't really the type of game that he's typically into. He's typically into the stuff that's almost too hard to follow. Yeah. That I'm really not into. Like usually I sit out because it's just too confusing to even learn the rules. But Codenames was pretty easy. So easy that my wife played it, which she never plays anything with us because we're just a bunch of fucking nerds. But I think in a like inadvertent way you just called your wife an idiot. Oh yeah.
Like she doesn't like to play the super complicated games.
I mean, in all fairness, I don't either, so I'm a little bit of an idiot as well. But it's a cool party game. It's again not too complicated. It's there are teams of 2, or I believe you can play with more teams, but basically you take turns. It's kind of like charades or taboo in the sense that you're trying to get the other person to guess something. There's words in the middle of I don't know. It's really fucking complicated to explain, but it's more like a party game in that sense. And it's really cheap. It's like $12 on Amazon. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I know like this day and age, people typically get together now and play like Cards Against Humanity, or there's a new one called Joking Hazard that's really offensive and fun. But this game is just as fun. And I think it's just kind of overlooked right now by like the adult humor. So which I mean, I love that shit too. But no, it's a lot of fun. So next time you're getting together with some people, I would suggest Codenames. I think I'm going to pick it up on Amazon just because it's so cheap. And like I said, it's a ton of fun to play.
Yeah, we actually played Apples to Apples the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like that game. Like, I wanted it to be Cards Against Humanity so much. Like, I play Apples to Apples the way I play Cards Against Humanity, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I found that out a couple Christmases ago at Brittany's dad and stepmom's. Like, they have a bunch of people over on Christmas Eve, and it's people that I don't really know too well because it's her stepmom's family for the most part. And we're playing Apples to Apples, and Cards Against Humanity had just come out, and I had played it, and it's like, oh, this is filthy and awesome. And Apples to Apples is very much the G-rated version of that. Yeah. But for some reason, in Apples to Apples, one of the cards that you can play is AIDS.
Really?
For sure. And we played AIDS for one of the, like, it was really dark joke, and nobody thought it was as funny as we did. We lost our shit when they read it, and nobody else did, and it made me feel terrible. But I think that game's probably not even really selling much anymore. People are just so crazy about the Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, man, what are you into?
It's weird because we don't talk about board games very often, but I'm actually going to talk about two things. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is actually a board game.
Oh,
so
sweet.
It's just kind of it weirdly lined up like that. So my family loves playing board games. That's one thing that we do when we get together. And again, we unfortunately had to get together recently. And for whatever reason, we couldn't find all the board games we had. I think they were planning, my mom and my dad were planning on moving back to Vegas, and so they had packed a lot of stuff in the basement. So we think that they may have packed some of the board games, and so we went to Target and we got a couple. And one of the ones that I was kind of looking at, it's a little bit more expensive than I wanted to pay for a board game, but one of my buddies, Mike, formerly of the Obsessive Viewer podcast, had been trying to get me into. It's called Betrayal at House on the Hill. And it was on sale. It was like $30 on Target, and it's usually like $50, which is ridiculous for a board game.
That is crazy.
But it's actually super, super fun. Like, I bought it because it was on sale and we played it. It is one of those games that's really, really complicated, but kind of once you get into the groove of it, it took us a couple of times playing it through. I had to watch several YouTube videos to figure out all the rules because I'm not much of a reader. Like, reading instructions to a game is like the most frustrating thing to me. I hate it. But anyways, it's really fun because there's like two parts to the game. Like, the first part of it, when you first start, it's just like you're these explorers in this house, and it's like a co-op kind of RPG type of experience because you want to unlock all these rooms and you want to unlock all these items and you want to build up your characters and all this stuff that kind of makes RPGs fun in video games. And, the second part of the game is kind of when it gets really interesting. It's called the Haunt. Basically, the idea behind the game is you have 3, 4, 5 people, however many people you're playing with. You have to have at least 3 people in the game. One of the characters has lured all these people to this house for this certain agenda, and so that person is the traitor. So there's one person in the game that's the traitor.
That's cool.
And you don't find that out who that person is until you get to the Haunt. And obviously I'm not going to go through all the rules, but it's just really, really fun because there's a lot of different strategy. The survivors have to work together and they have a bunch of steps to beat the traitor. And then, of course, the traitor has all these other things. And a lot of times, depending on the haunt, there's 50 different haunts in the game. So very rarely, unless you play it more than 50 times, you're not going to play the same haunt over and over again, which is fun. Depending on the haunt, the traitor has a bunch of different abilities, and sometimes they have monsters that they can control as well. And it's a lot of fun. We ended up playing it like 6 or 7 different times throughout the week or so that we got to play it. And, it was just a lot of fun. I didn't expect my sister and her husband and my wife to like it as much because it seemed like something that I would really like because it's a very nerdy kind of board game, and it definitely has a horror element to it, which I found really, really fun. I didn't think that they were going to like it as much as I did, but they really kind of just really enjoyed it much more than I thought they were going to, and we had a blast with it.
No, that sounds like a lot of fun. We'll have to play that sometime.
Yeah, for sure. And the second thing I wanted to talk about is I actually did get to see a movie over Christmas break. We went and saw Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
which I think was released like the 23rd or something. Yeah. We ended up seeing it on Christmas. It stars Michael Fassbender. It was directed by Justin Kurzel. I think that's how you pronounce it, which I'd never seen any of his movies until I saw Assassin's Creed, but I guess he's known for the Snowtown Murders, which is a movie that Netflix won't fucking stop suggesting to me. I heard it's pretty good, but I've never actually watched it. And of course, it's based on the Assassin's Creed is based on the game series. I played the first one. I've never played the other ones. Have you played them?
No,
okay.
Not.
So this conversation is going to go real well. I've talked about this in the past. I don't think video game adaptations work. I'm not the only one that thinks that. Obviously, they're kind of highly criticized within film genre, but I just don't think they work because you can't replicate the experience of playing a video game. Like, no matter how cool the movie is and how good the movie is, you can't replicate that same experience. Yeah. And Assassin's Creed definitely failed on almost every account. It is not a good movie by any stretch. It spent way too much time in the present, which I played. Like I said, I only played the first game. I didn't play the 17 other games that came after it. But the best part of those games is being the assassin. It's going around in the Spanish Inquisition and killing all these other guys. And it's really just kind of a fun game to kind of creep around and assassinate all these guys. And this movie spent way too much time like building up the mythology and spending time with Michael Fassbender in the present. And I was just like, I don't give a fuck about this. Like they used a lot of what I call comic book science. Like they used science sounding words to explain all this. I don't give a shit how this works. I really don't. Show me Michael Fassbender jumping, like almost like Jake Gyllenhaal in Prince of Persia. Like I wanted more of that. Yeah. Than I wanted it in the present. Like they spent way too much time. I felt like they wanted to build up all this mythology so they could have all this stuff for the sequels. But what they don't realize is people have to stay awake through the first movie to want a second movie. And I felt myself falling asleep. It's like a 2+ hour movie, and it does not deserve to be that long because it's pretty boring for most of the movie, which is surprising because you would think Assassin's Creed, it would be super exciting and the other aspects would be lacking, but it didn't even have excitement.
I wanted to see this and, it just kind of came and went. I mean, I know it's still in theaters, but I have not heard anything about it, good or bad. It's just kind of, I think everything was overshadowed by Star Wars, and I don't know. I would imagine that it'd be pretty hard for him to like assassinate people and do all that parkour and stuff with that giant dick he has between his legs.
I don't know. I seem to be okay with it.
The CGI. They CGI'd it out.
Yeah. Anyways.
I'm regretting that I brought up his dick.
It seems like you have a hard time every time we talk about him to not bring up his dick. I think you have a thing for him.
Talk about a hard time. No? All right.
No. We should have just moved on. Anyways, our next segment is just plainly called Comics. Tal and I read a ton of comics each week and we like to spotlight one or two an episode. So what'd you read this week?
I am like severely behind on my comic reading. It's like December just got the best of me, and I was putting a dent in it, and now it's just all stacked back up, unfortunately. But I did read a new comic that came out in December or late November. It's 2 issues in, and that's Venom.
Okay.
Venom 1 and 2. So I have not kept up with the Venom character since the classic Eddie Brock version. I know that he, like the symbiote, has been on different hosts since then. Most recently, I believe it was on Flash Thompson, correct? As Agent Venom, who was just part of Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess that has come to an end, and this comic picks up with the symbiote back on Earth. And I thought going into it, I figured that Venom getting its own book, it would kind of probably try to retread territory and maybe go back to Eddie Brock or one of the other characters we've seen the symbiote on before. But they actually went the route of choosing a new character that the symbiote has attached to, and it's a character named Lee, who, if I remember correctly from the comic, that he's a Army veteran, and I don't exactly remember what happens in issue 1 because it was pretty boring. But I read issue 2 this week, and it has Lee doing something for Black Cat, who's become like a crime boss now, and the Scorpion works for her, and so on and so forth. And the whole gist of this comic has been that it's flipped the idea of Venom and the symbiote on its head, and instead of the symbiote controlling the person is controlling the symbiote. I guess the symbiote, because he's been doing good, I'm not familiar with the Agent Venom character that much, but from what I gather, he does good. I mean, with him being in Guardians of the Galaxy, I imagine he's a hero, and the symbiote's kind of learned from that and considers itself a hero, considers itself a good guy. And this Lee character is not a good guy and is using Venom for bad and is killing people and so on and so forth. And so there's still the disconnect that we're used to between the symbiote and who it's inhabiting, but it's reversed. It's being used as a weapon, and it doesn't want to be. And I don't know. I don't like it. It just
really?
kind of, yeah. I mean, I appreciate that they're trying to do something different, and I was okay with it being a completely new character, but it's not bad. It's not like as bad as like the Punisher was, where we both read it and we're like, oh God, we got to drop this. But with me being behind on comics and me having to, be more selective in what I read to get caught up, I just don't think that there's room for this book. For me, I think Venom will always be the best. We did like a top 5 Spider-Man villains like years ago when we started this podcast, and my number 1 was Venom.
I think it was actually like our second episode.
Yeah, it was like really early, and
don't listen to it.
Yeah, don't go back and revisit. Just spoiler alert, my number 1 was Venom because I think that he's a great antagonist to Spider-Man, but they've took the popularity, they spun him off into this own thing. So that, Sony had talked about doing a Venom movie, so on and so forth. But I think when it comes down to it, I just enjoy the character more whenever it's fighting Spider-Man or attached to Spider-Man or involved with that character. And by itself, I'm just not too interested.
Yeah, that's disappointing because I actually thought the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Agent Venom stuff was kind of boring. Like they were playing the character way too safe.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of intrigued by the fact that he was kind of going back to the Venom that I know.
I don't know. Like you and I both love Spider-Man, but I think that our love is different. And I think you could probably find some enjoyment in this book. Like I won't tell you not to read it.
Sure.
I just don't think I'm going to have space for it in the catalog of books I'm reading.
All right. Fair enough.
Cool, man. What'd you read?
I unfortunately have not been to the comic book shop in like 3 weeks. I always feel bad when like you're behind and then I'm behind. I'm like, we're supposed to be the nerds you're looking for. And neither one of us have read a recent comic in the last couple of weeks. But like I said, I think I have a fairly legitimate reason for not going to the comic book shop for a couple of weeks. But anyways, that being said, I kind of stumbled upon this review on IGN for this just like weird graphic novel I'd never heard of called Mooncop. And they really loved it.
What is up with you and weird cops?
I was going to literally just make the same joke. I was like, I thought in my brain when I read it, I was like, well, I liked Wolf Cop. Maybe I just like law enforcement.
I've brought up Axe Cop before too.
Oh, yeah?
Like we're really into weird cops.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, so I picked it up on Amazon. It was fairly cheap. I think it was like $17 for a graphic novel. That's not bad. And it was actually a hardcover, and it's actually really nice. But I read it, and it's weird. But it's like it's really hard to explain because have you ever read anything that nothing really happens, but you still really enjoyed it?
After Death 1. Well, I think I talked about it the last time.
Oh, yeah.
That was that book for sure.
This book, Mooncop, literally nothing happens. Like, it's just basically about this guy who his dream was to become, and in this universe or whatever, you can go to the moon if you want to. But people have gone to the moon and they're kind of bored with it. So people are literally moving away and going back to Earth. And his dream was always to go and be a cop on the moon. And so he gets to do that, and he's just really bored with it.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it's kind of a depressing theme, but it's also kind of just like, it's really kind of sweet. And I mean, it kind of pays off at the end. And again, not a whole lot happened, so it's kind of hard to talk about, but I really enjoyed it. The artwork was weird and simple. It almost kind of felt like you're looking at like a kid's book, but in a good way. I know I'm not really describing it very well, and I'm probably not telling people to go see it very well, but or go read it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just really hard to explain because I read it and I was like, man, I really like that. And I thought to myself, why did I like it? And I don't know. Maybe I'm just not being as articulate about it as I'd like to be, but I really enjoyed it. But if you're expecting something there's going to be a lot of dialogue and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, you just kind of have to appreciate for what it is. Just like this short, really sweet story.
Okay. Whenever you said that, I thought that it was going to be about a vampire cop. Not gonna, but it took a sci-fi different.
I mean, it has a cop in it. He is not a vampire, from what I understand. Maybe in the sequel.
Do they say he's not a vampire?
They do not say that he's not a vampire.
Gotcha. I don't know why. The moon has nothing to do with vampires. The moon has something to do with werewolves, which is Wolf Cop. So I'm totally fucked in my head right now because it's just.
If you were a werewolf on the moon, you would just be a fucking wolf.
You would just be Wolf Cop.
Yeah, exactly. All the time.
This is getting confusing.
Yeah. We're getting off the rails for sure. So you ready for nerd news?
Yeah. So you would think, again, had a few weeks off that there would just be piles and piles of nerd news, but it turns out the news doesn't really break during the holidays. So I don't have too much. There was a badass trailer released for Alien Covenant, I believe on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning. And have you seen it?
I unfortunately have not.
It's really good. This is, of course, actually a sequel to Prometheus. But given the title, you can tell that it's going to go more of the alien route than Prometheus did. And the trailer looks really great. It looks terrifying. And it looks like it's really back to its roots. And I know Prometheus split a lot of the crowd down the middle. Some people loved it, like me. Some people hated it. I can't remember where you fell on that.
Hated it at first and grew to really like it a lot.
Okay, awesome. This movie looks more like faithful to the alien roots. And I encourage you to watch it, Pat, because it looks pretty dope. So it's definitely one of my more anticipated 2017 movies. The next one is just a little blurb from Ben Affleck about the Batman, which I thought was, what's the word? I don't know. Anyways, I'm sorry. My head's fucked. He's being interviewed for his new movie. Is it Live by Night? Is that what it's called?
Something like that.
And he's probably getting really pissed off because I'm sure every single person that interviews him is like, oh, Batman. And he's probably starting to regret that decision. But of course, everybody is asking him about the Batman. They've pretty much said it's going to come out in 2018. And either he's getting pissed or, he just kind of had it. But he's said like there's no script for it yet. And he's not going to make it unless the script is good enough. And right now he doesn't even have a script. So that is, what am I trying to say? Condemnable, but that's not right. Commendable, not condemnable. Shut the fuck up. It is commendable. I think that, he's not going to force this movie, even though Warner Brothers probably wants him to. It sounds like kind of Suicide Squad was. But I'm kind of curious what his contract says and if they're going to be like, no, you're going to fucking make the movie. So we'll see how the DC movies this year are received with Justice League and Wonder Woman. But I don't know. I don't think that the Batman's going to happen in 2018. And if it is, it's going to be late 2018.
It doesn't sound like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, if he's the one writing it and he's not happy with it so far, like that's not a great sign.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
DC obviously has no problem putting out shitty movies.
I think that they're just they've set these dates and they have, shareholders to please, and Disney owns just about everything else. Like, besides these DC characters and the Harry Potter characters, and that's how Warner's is going to make their money. So I don't know. I feel like they're just going to keep shoving them out until somebody talented comes along and is able to turn something around quickly. But I just think that it's a mistake to hold themselves to those release dates whenever they don't have a movie to be made.
I'm going to sound kind of like old manish, get off my lawn type of thing. But it seems like with this movie, they want to keep talking about it, but there's not a whole lot to talk about. So they kind of just make things to talk about. Like, I'm sure he's getting just as frustrated talking about it as I am reading nothing stories about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. With him, it's like he's put out that thing on his Twitter, Deathstroke. And of course, we talked about it in Nerd News when that happened. So obviously, at one time, he had some passion about the project, and he was like, "Oh, this looks dope. I'm going to get people excited and put it on my Twitter."
Sure.
And now it's like, yeah, Deathstroke's in it, but I don't really know how because I don't have a script. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff that's going to be said over the next couple of months, because if it is going to make a 2018 release date, I would think that it would be a lot of post-production, so they'd have to start filming soon. Yeah. And it doesn't sound like that's going to happen, which good on him. Like, he's done a lot to build up his credibility as a director. Like, why make a shitty Batman movie and kind of shit it all away? So
for sure.
This last one, I feel a little weird bringing it up, but I do feel like we do have to mention it just because it was a big thing in nerd culture. Over our hiatus, Carrie Fisher passed away, which, I mean, of course, she played a big part in our lives from the Star Wars saga. So I did just want to bring that up briefly. Super sad. They are meeting to kind of change it into a news topic. I did read that they're, I guess, the brain trust of Disney and Star Wars, along with the director of Episode 9, Colin Trevorrow, however you pronounce it, who directed Jurassic World. They are meeting this week to kind of decide what Leia's future is going to be after Episode 8, because she was complete with filming on Episode 8. Everybody was. It's been in post-production since last summer. But I'm kind of curious to see how this changes what they had in mind for these saga films, especially with her character. And I really want to know, like, when it's all said and done, I want to know what they were planning on saying and what they were kind of the story they were forced to tell because of her death.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different angles about this. Obviously, personally, it was Tyler and I obviously do a lot of social media stuff, but posting stuff on Facebook and stuff like that, like I do a lot of that as well. And it was like, I wanted to post something, but I also was just like, I wasn't not in the right mind set to kind of, not that I didn't care. I was a little upset about it, but obviously I had bigger things that I was dealing with. So I just kind of felt like, out of respect for my mom, I wasn't going to post anything about that. So that's why we have been quiet on that particular issue. Yes, I was upset, like I said, about it. Star Wars was a big part of our childhood, as we've talked about in the past. So her passing, she wasn't very old. So, I mean, it was definitely sad. Yeah. And then her mom died a few days later. That was obviously also sad as well. As far as the future of the franchise, it does kind of cast a shadow over it, because we'll never know what the story would have been, which is disappointing. Yeah. Obviously, it's not the most important thing, but it's still as fans. Yeah. You're always going to wonder what could have been, which I know sounds insensitive, but it is what it is.
I mean, you imagine that, and I don't want it to, my intention is not to sound insensitive about Carrie Fisher's death, but you wonder, Kylo Ren is her son.
Yes.
And his dad's dead, so he's got one parent left to go to. So you would imagine that, there'd be some heavy scenes there. Sure. And I wonder if they're going to happen in Episode 8 or if they were supposed to happen in Episode 9, and they're going to have to work around that. So it is, I don't know. I guess we'll see when Episode 8 comes out, kind of which direction they were going. And I'd imagine they've got some work ahead of them.
For sure.
I will say, the day after she passed away, Brittany and I went and saw Rogue One. Brittany hadn't seen it, so that was my second time seeing it. And spoiler alert, there's a CGI young Princess Leia at the end, which it's been all over like comicbook.com and stuff, so I don't think that's too big of a spoiler. But whenever she popped up, I teared up a little. Yeah. And I didn't expect to, because I don't really get too upset about celebrity deaths. Like, I was a little upset with like Robin Williams, and but generally I don't get too upset, and that just caught me off guard. So yeah, she just a big part of the childhood, Star Wars and all that good stuff. So
for sure.
All right, man. Believe it or not, even though we were gone for 2 or 3 weeks, that is all I have for nerd news.
All right, man. So it's basically just your episode now.
Oh, no, I hate this shit. And I hate you for making me do it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so It's been a while. This is the last part of our top 10 TV shows. Pat's got through his 2 parts, and you guys have heard my 10 through 6. In case you did not listen to that episode, or since you forgot, since it's been like a month and a half. Number 10 was Dexter. Number 9 was the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. Number 8 is Rick and Morty. Number 7, It's Always Sunny. And number 6 was Flight of the Conchords. So I am just going to go ahead and pick up with number 5. Are you ready?
That's generally how lists go, yeah.
So number 5 is, for me, Breaking Bad.
Okay.
So, I mean, this show had to show up, right? Because it's one of the best hour-long dramas of all time. And I think that that's obviously an opinion, but it's a very shared opinion across
for sure
most of the people that have watched it. I don't know, just this show caught me off guard because I remember when it was first released, it didn't really, it's like, okay, so the dad from Malcolm in the Middle is making meth on AMC, and AMC wasn't really like a well-known station at the time. Like it didn't have The Walking Dead yet, and it didn't have the notoriety it has now. And this show kind of helped get it that notoriety. But, you know, Walter White became this iconic character because of Bryan Cranston's amazing portrayal. Unfortunately, I doubt Aaron Paul will ever do anything better, but the
path is pretty cool.
Is it? That's good for him. But you know, he's also great on this show as Jesse Pinkman, and their chemistry, no pun intended, is great. And what's awesome about this show and why it's so high up on my list is it's really, honestly, the more I thought about it, the concept I loved about Dexter, but done much, much better. So the first few seasons is Walter hiding this thing from his family. The parallel is Dexter hiding his serial killing from his family and his coworkers, so on and so forth. But it actually progresses and tells a story, whereas Dexter is 9 or 10 seasons of him hiding it until shit just implodes on itself in the last few seasons.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it was pretty long. I want to say Dexter was 9 seasons.
Huh, you're probably right.
But anyway, like this is like 6 concise seasons that progresses that story really well, which is something that I wish, looking back, that Dexter would have done. But it's done so well. He hides it for a while. He's found out, and shit kind of hits the fan in the last few seasons, and is a lot of fun to watch, just kind of how they wrap those things up, and it's kind of perfect. They don't drag the concept out. And it's not just a show about him getting caught or not getting caught. It grows and it evolves and it keeps things fresh, which Dexter did not do. By the time this show ended, it was just so completely different than when it began. And the ride to get from that point to that point was so much fun. And I think that's why it's so beloved, and it's why it's so high up on my top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I won't talk too much about it just because it was I think, number 6. So you liked it a little bit more than I did in the whole scope of things. But yeah, I really liked his arc. It's just he starts off as this sympathetic character that you could, obviously that's probably not the route I would have taken.
Yeah. But
I'm also terrible at science, so it's not a route that I could have taken. But it's just like you could almost see why he would do it. Very similar to how you could kind of see why Dexter did it in a way. A little bit different, obviously. Yeah. But, and then through the 6 seasons, he grows into a monster, basically. Like, he's not at all that same guy that starts off in season 1. So I really appreciated his arc.
For sure, man. Number 4 is Scrubs.
Okay.
Which this show is definitely on here for nostalgia purposes, as well as it's a show that I do enjoy. It was like one of the first shows that my friends and I were really into, like the last year of high school, and then the first couple of years of college. Like it was one of the first seasons I ever bought on TV on DVD was season 5 of Scrubs, and we just like binged it. And I ended up getting like seasons 1 to 4 through Christmas, and we binged those, and it was just a really fun show to watch as a group of buddies. This show had just a great ensemble cast that completely nailed their characters. Say what you will about Zach Braff, and there are some seasons where he's pretty annoying, but like just the characters that surround him, from Donald Faison to I forget the guy's name, but whoever plays Dr. Cox, it's on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, no, he's amazing. I already said Donald Faison, Sarah Chalk, so on and so forth. Just a really great ensemble cast that is hilarious. This show does fall apart a bit in like the middle seasons. I don't know. I think it might be due to them not knowing if they were going to be renewed or not. Like every year was, are we going to get another season or not? And so every season finale was kind of a series finale. For me, season 8 is the real finale, before they did the weird medical school one in season 9.
That season sucked.
Season 8 is amazing. They kind of brought back a little bit more of the drama that was in a couple of the earlier seasons, but it still, of course, was hilarious, and it wrapped up all of the characters' arcs really nicely. It's definitely one of my favorite series finales of all time, because I am counting it as a series finale. Season 9 was supposed to be a spinoff called like Scrubs Med School, and they ended up just branding it like Scrubs again, and it was really weird. I never finished it. I do have it on TV on DVD from that old set, but I don't know. I never finished it. It was a weird season. But that aside, like I said, season 8 was one of the more perfect finales I can recall. To me, Scrubs was like a really great comedy drama that was really overlooked over its 9-year run. And it's kind of slipped away over time. Like people don't talk about it anymore. Like, I just talked about rewatching The Office. You don't hear anybody say that they're rewatching Scrubs really. But I don't know. I think that there is a lot of merit to that show, obviously, because I have it as number 4 on my top 10. I do want to rewatch it, but some of the seasons are disappointing that it got a little too goofy, or they didn't know if they were going to continue, and unfortunately NBC is kind of known for that. So if you've never watched Scrubs, I do recommend it. I know it used to replay on Comedy Central all the time, but it seems like over the last couple of years it's kind of slipped into obscurity.
Yeah, this is a show, like I said before, when I was making my list, I had like 17 or 18, and Scrubs was one of those. And then I had to kind of whittle it down to 10, and it didn't make the cut, obviously. But it's a show that I enjoy. One of the reasons why I kind of knocked it off my top 10 was the fact that I just don't think the character of JD really kind of learns anything throughout this seasons. Like, he kind of keeps making the same dumb mistakes, and that's fine for comedy for a while, but over 8 seasons, it's like, as a character, as a grown-up, you kind of have to start learning your lessons. And if you don't, then you're not a very likable character at that point.
Yeah, one of the things, and I do agree with that, and but one of the things I do like about this show is they did such clever episodes every once in a while. Sure. The one that sticks out in my head is the patient has something wrong with her head, or like was hit on her head, or basically everything she sees is in song, and it's like a musical episode, and it's really funny. And Donald Faison and Zach Braff as Turk and JD is like the bromance to aspire to, and
for sure,
it's just a really good chemistry on that show. Number 3 is another animated series, and this one, as you could probably guess, is Batman the Animated Series.
Okay,
I went on and on about how much I love the Spider-Man cartoon and how much that played a part in me becoming the nerd that I am today. And Batman, the animated series, even more so, which is why it's higher on the list. Definitely on here for nostalgia purposes, and for helping me make the nerd I am today, but also because it's a damn good show. It still holds up. So in my opinion, Batman, the animated series, is probably one of the greatest cartoons of all time. Definitely my favorite, obviously. It was able to tell rich stories about these characters in 20 to 30 minute increments. And it did an amazing job with not only Batman, but his rogues gallery as well. Of course, it's most famous for introducing Harley Quinn. For me, my favorite episodes were the ones that introduced villains and do their origins. Heart of Ice is an amazing episode of TV, not just of animated TV. And then for some reason, the Two-Face episodes have always been some of my favorites as well. This show came out around the same time as the Burtonverse movies were coming out, and it would have been really easy to copy those Batman movies and just make them cartoons, and just make it colorful and weird like the Schumacher films, or just gothic, which they kind of did like the Burton films. But instead, they took the Batman character, the Batman mythos, the Batman comics, and just made it really good television. And this was a lot of kids' introduction to the character in the 90s. So you can't talk about this show without talking about the amazing voice cast. Of course, Mark Hamill as the Joker and Kevin Conroy as the Batman for a lot of people, including myself. I mean, they're the essential Batman and Joker. And I'm glad that they keep doing it, even though sometimes it doesn't hit like in The Killing Joke. But if you haven't watched those shows, like, I implore you to like go find the box set or find them online, because it holds up, and they tell really essential Batman stories that we haven't seen in the movies and we may never see in the movies. So for sure, Batman the Animated Series is number 3.
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I recently didn't go through a full rewatch. I think I only got through the first couple of seasons, but it definitely holds up. I think it was on Amazon Video, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the animation has not aged the best, especially where we're at now.
It still looks all right.
But it works, and I think that there's a reason that, like, some of the biggest collectibles they're putting out right now are throwback Batman the Animated Series figures, which
for sure
are awesome. Which you have one up there that is signed by Tara Strong, Batgirl herself. So
yep.
All right, man. Number 2, I don't have a lot to say about this because I feel like we've said quite a bit about this show, but it's Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I mean, we've said it in our season reviews. You said it in your top 10. We both are in love with the show. It's an amazing world. It's an amazing narrative, and it's just so much fun to watch. I don't think that there are any other TV shows on right now that I watch as they air, except for Game of Thrones. Like, I'll watch some shows on Hulu the day after, but
sure,
for me, like, I have to watch Game of Thrones as it's on because I don't want anything spoiled for me, because I'm just so invested in the plot and the characters and what's going on in this world. So somehow, even though characters die off like crazy, it's getting better with age, in my opinion. It's aging the way a show should. Like, the characters are learning from things, and they're maturing, and they're working towards a final destination that we'll see in the next couple seasons. And it's just a lot of, like, the journey is so much fun, and you can't say that for a lot of shows. The remaining couple seasons are going to determine where this show ends up ranked in my top 10 overall, but obviously I'm in love with it at putting it at number 2. It could be number 1 when it's all said and done. It could drop if they don't nail the landing, but if the seasons we've seen are any indication, it will do so, and I can't wait to see where things go.
Yeah, it would have to really kind of fall off a cliff to not be remembered as like one of the best TV shows of all time, because it's done a phenomenal job. Like you said, we've talked a lot about it, but one of the things that I mentioned was that I love how characters actually pay for things. Like, they make mistakes. Like, I talked with Scrubs, with JD not kind of learning from his mistakes. If he was in this world, he'd be dead by season 1, because he just kept making the same mistake over and over again. But characters that don't learn from their mistakes don't live very long in this particular show, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, so what's your number 1?
Number 1, if you know anything about me and you've done Process of Elimination, you can probably guess, but it is Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
So this show, I mean, obviously at number 1, it's the whole package for me. It's an ensemble group of characters that you love from the get-go almost, and you grow to love over multiple seasons. And as the seasons progress, they grow as individuals and their relationships grow, and that somehow the show maintains the quality and the charm that I wouldn't say it starts with, because season 1's a little rough, but when they found their footing in season 2, that charm lasts throughout the rest of the series. This show brings me constant enjoyment. I've rewatched it from beginning to end multiple times, and almost yearly it seems like, and I'll probably do it again this year. Like I said, season 1 doesn't hold up as much because, again, they were finding their footing. It was originally going to be a spin-off of The Office, and I think they were making Leslie Knope the more like a Michael Scott character. But once they found what direction they wanted to go and what Amy Poehler was going to excel at, the show just came together like quickly, and it was just amazing. Obviously, I think that it's better than The Office. I know it's not a shared opinion among everyone, because The Office does have its merits. I just talked about how much I loved it earlier in the episode. But this show just did something for me that show didn't. For me, it's probably one of the best ensemble casts ever. And when you have a group like that that's so talented and has that kind of chemistry, it turns into an amazing show like this one was. It's a happy show. It's a hilarious show. And like I kind of mentioned with Scrubs, it was just overlooked during its run, and they never knew if they were going to get another season. And, you know, sometimes they kind of had to take a chance with whether they would get another season. And luckily they were able to wrap up things perfectly. Like, it's for sure my favorite series finale of all time, because it wraps up all the characters in a satisfactory way to where, you know, when I think about Parks and Rec, I know where all those characters end up over time, and it makes me happy to know that everybody kind of got a happy ending. So definitely my favorite show of all time. I love Parks and Rec to death, and can't wait to watch it again this year.
For sure. I mean, I completely agree with you. It wasn't my number one, but it was definitely high up on my list. I don't know exactly where it was. I think it was definitely top 5, I believe. So, yeah, it's a great show. I completely agree with the series finale. I can't think of one off the top of my head that I like better than that one. I mean, they just wrapped it up perfectly. You know,
with shows with their series finales, there has to be a finality to it.
Yeah.
Which is when it's the series finale. And a lot of shows, you know, screw the pooch with that, because that means somebody's got
such a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it means somebody's got to die, or you have to wrap up things in a way to where it can't be revisited, or so on. You can't leave things open.
Yeah,
and this show was able to wrap up things so that it probably won't be revisited, but also let us know that, hey, everything's all right with these characters.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
it was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my top 10, dude.
All right, cool. So like Tyler said, we're going to be doing our Nerd Year's resolutions next week. So look forward to that. I believe 2 weeks from now, we're also going to try to do our top 10 favorite movies of 2016 with our friend Matt Hurt from The Obsessive Viewer. So I'll be looking for that as well.
Sweet.
All right. As always, you can follow. Nope. I almost did that a few episodes ago as well. We do our nerd favorite. God damn it. Why do I always forget about nerd favorite? Anyways, so it's my week this week. For those that don't know, nerd favorite, Tyler and I like to end the episode. I try to end it a little bit early every once in a while, but we try to end the episode by kind of taking turns asking a really nerdy question, what your favorite blank is. I'm going to change it up a little bit this week. Honestly, I forgot it was even my week until about an hour before we were going to record. So I thought it would be kind of cool. Tyler and I are huge movie buffs, obviously, and we put a lot of stock into like our lists. We always keep a list of all the movies that we watch throughout the year, and I just thought it was going to be kind of a fun conversation to talk about the first movie that we watched in 2017.
Okay.
So mine is kind of a weird one, but a couple episodes ago, I talked about how I was really getting into Harry Potter. I was listening to the audiobooks, and when I was done with the audiobook, my wife and I would watch the movie. I bought all the 8 movies on Blu-ray. It's a really cool set, pretty cheap on Amazon actually for 8 Blu-rays. So I was pretty happy about that, but we stopped doing that sort of. Like I'm still currently listening to the audiobooks. I'm about halfway through Order of the Phoenix, but I don't know, maybe some bigger potheads or whatever they call Potterheads or whatever they call themselves. I doubt it's potheads. I think Order of the Phoenix is the worst one. Like, when we were watching the movie, it was boring as shit, and the audiobook is just as bad. Like, it's been a struggle, so I was like, It's going to take me a really long time to get through the Order of the Phoenix. Let's just go ahead and knock out the movies, and I'll just get the audiobooks as like, it was a fun little thing that we were doing, kind of keeping up. But, yeah, I've really kind of slowed down with Order of the Phoenix because it's boring as shit. But anyways, the second part of Deathly Hallows was the first movie that I watched, and I really have a new appreciation, not just for the movies, other than the Order of the Phoenix. It's really the only one I don't like now. It used to be like there was The Prisoner of Azkaban was really the only one that I liked, and maybe Goblet of Fire when I watched them the first time.
Yeah.
But now I have this whole new appreciation for the whole franchise, and then really that's the only movie/book. I guess I can't really say book yet because I haven't really listened to the whole book yet, but I have a suspicion that I'm not going to like the book because it's so far really, really boring. But yeah, I have a new appreciation, and I'm kind of happy that was the first movie I watched in 2017.
Yeah, I've told the story a bunch of times, but you know how I said that ex-girlfriend dragged me to the midnight showing of one of the Harry Potter movies, and I fell asleep. And the kind of is my whole take on Harry Potter is, it was Order of the Phoenix. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me because I almost fell asleep while we were watching it the other day.
The first movie, and actually the only movie I've watched in 2017, is nothing too crazy or exciting. Like I said, I haven't really been to the theater or anything. I rewatched The Force Awakens.
Okay, cool.
Just because, who hasn't been on a Star Wars kick the last month? And it had been about a half a year since I watched it last, and holds up. Love it. And, I don't know. I'm super excited for episode 8 and still got a while to go. But of course, it's a good time to be a nerd, and it's even a better time to be a Star Wars nerd because we have 2 new Star Wars movies that both are really high quality. So for
sure, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's a good way to start off 2017.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think last year was The Revenant. Was the first movie I saw.
I'll tell you the first movie I saw in 2016, and it kind of set the precedent for the whole year. It was Daddy's Home.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks bad. Yeah, I really like The Other Guys.
Yeah, that's why we went and saw it, is because the Other Guys, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's all right. And then I just kept finding like little jokes in there and my friends and I just kept repeating it to each other, and I found a new appreciation for it. But Daddy's Home does not share that quality. So
All right. So now it's the end of the episode. So as always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. They're both at The Nerds Podcast. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Google+. You can vote for us for Podcast of the Month at podcastland.com. Rate, subscribe, all that good stuff on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, basically any good podcatcher you use. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Nerds You're Looking For. Check out our new Twitch channel, which Tyler does a weekly stream Monday at 9 p.m. Central. And you can also email us at thenerdsyou'relooking4@gmail.com. For Patrick Kuhn,
Tyler Hunt,
we're The Nerds You're Looking For. Take it easy, guys.
Thanks.